There we go. I couldn't unmute for a second. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn about healthy habits for the brain and body. My name is Sarah Whitney, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator at the Healthier Black Elder Center in Detroit. I'd like to give a brief introduction of Healthier Black Elder Center before we get started with our presentations. So HBEC started in 1997 and is funded by the National Institutes of Health. The center aims to address and reduce health disparities through research and education. We do this through our research registry, where individuals learn about various social behavioral research studies and may be invited to participate. Currently, we have about 1,100 active older adults in the registry. And we also do this through various events like the one today that provide health-related education to the community with a focus on aging. We provide education on a broad spectrum of topics ranging from heart health to things like community engagement. Typically, these events are held in person, but we hope that you are still able to enjoy this virtual format. To learn more about HBEC, please visit our website, www.mcuaaar.org, or you can call our office at 313-664-2616. For anyone that is not currently an HBEC member and would like to join, please call our office and you can complete a survey to get added to our mailing list. You will then receive our biannual newsletter that lists program events, recruiting studies, and more health information. I'm going to say the website and phone number one more time. Our website is www.mcuaaar.org. And that phone number is 313-664-2616. Before we begin with our presentations, I'm just going to make a couple of quick housekeeping announcements. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to watch at a later time on our website. For those of you who are joining by computer, you can interact with us by asking questions, and you can submit those questions through either the chat box or the Q&A box that's at the bottom of your screen. If you have a question that does not get answered by the end of the program, or if you're joining us by phone, you can give us a call at the HBEC office and leave us a voicemail with your question. One of our staff will follow up with you about that. I also wanted to add to our quick announcements that we are under a heat advisory. So we hope that everyone is able to stay cool, stay safe, stay inside, and use cooling stations if you need to. If you have questions about where you might be able to find that, you can call us at HBE. Next, I have a quick repeat presentation put together by our Critical Crossroads Subcommittee regarding 3 petitions that have been circulating and that have the potential to impact our access to voting. We're repeating this because it's so important for all of us to be informed. There are lots of people circulating petitions that have very similar language, but they all mean very different things. So I'm going to share an infographic that the committee put together that describes 3 of these petitions. And if you've joined us before in the past where I've shared this, it is the same presentation, but we just want to make sure everyone gets this information. So I will start with the My Right to Vote or Michigan Right to Vote petition. Now this petition is asking if it is adopted, it would require 2 weekends of in-person absentee voting. It would require at least 1 drop-off box for absentee voting for every 15,000 registered voters. It would allow voters to receive absentee ballot applications without requesting them. And it would require the postage of absentee ballots to be prepaid. It would allow for voters to verify identity with photo ID or with a signature, and allows officials to prepare for counting absentee ballots within the 7-day period before Election Day. It would bar lawmakers from imposing an undue burden on the right to vote. It would ban laws that restrict contributions to fund elections, record voters, or discriminate against election challengers. And it would prohibit requirements of voter ID for absentee voting or a social security number to register to vote. It would also require the legislator to fund elections. The next I'd like to share is the Promote the Vote petition. If adopted, this would allow 9 days of early voting. It would publicly subsidize absentee ballots and a tracking system for ballot location. It would allow voters to register for absentee ballots for all future elections. It would require ballot drop boxes for every 15,000 voters in a municipality. And it would establish that post-election audits can only be conducted by state and local officials. And the last petition that I'll describe is the Secure My Vote. This petition, if adopted, would require voter ID for in-person voting and absentee ballot application, and it would eliminate the affidavit exemption that's currently allowed for in-person voting without ID. It would require partial social security numbers for voter registration. It would require voters who don't present ID in person to present it within 6 days after the election for the vote to be counted. It would bar unsolicited absentee ballot applications. So that means that there would be no automatic mailings of absentee ballots. It would ban outside funding for elections and restrict mail-in ballots, and would provide voters with hardships with free ID funded by a $3 million state fund. So again, those are 3 petitions that are currently being circulated. I believe that they have July deadlines. So if you do see them, make sure you know which ones were being presented to you and make sure that you sign the one that you want to support. Now I'd like to take a moment to invite forward a few guests that we have here. We have a few researchers with us today who are recruiting for ongoing studies. And I will allow each of you a minute or so to share a little bit about your studies with our listeners as an effort to recruit.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real quick, if that's okay with everybody. Share. Okay, so can we see the slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. So I'm Anna Luongo with the University of Michigan's Well Care Study. Our study is focused on the stress and well-being in the everyday lives of caregivers. So what we're focused on learning is about the daily life experiences and well-being of individuals who are living with and providing care for a family member or a friend who has dementia. So those who can take part in our study are individuals who are Black or white, Michigan residents, and you have to be someone who is living with and providing care for a family member or friend with dementia, or you have to be that individual who has dementia or another memory impairment and is receiving care from a family member or friend. Participation involves a couple different things depending on who you are in the partnership. So the family member or friend who's providing care will complete a baseline survey that takes about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. They then will learn how to wear 2 heart monitors and complete surveys on a study cell phone. The family member or friend providing care will then wear those monitors and complete surveys during 5 days of daily life at home. And the person living with dementia or another memory impairment will complete a memory screener that takes about 10 to 12 minutes, and they will wear 1 heart monitor for 5 days at home. Participants are paid for taking part in the study, and there are a couple different ways you can contact us if you have any questions or are interested in the study. Our phone number is 734-936-7489. And our email is swellcarestudy@umich.edu, spelled SWELCARE study@umich.edu. We also have a website that I'll include in the chat. So I'll put everything in the chat for further information. But yes, the HBC does have our flyers if you want paper hard copies as well. And yeah, so thank you so much for having me. And I hope we'll get in touch and we can have some of you as part of our study. Okay, so I'll stop sharing real quick.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah, no problem.
can have the next person on who's recruiting for a study.
Hi, this is Steph Goodman. Should I go up now?
Yep, go for it.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. I'm gonna share my screen. And apologies for a messy desktop. So my name is Stephanie Goodman, and I work for the University of California, San Francisco for the Wisdom Study. I've promoted the Wisdom Study before, so some of you may be familiar with it. The Wisdom Study is a study that's working to improve and modernize the approach to breast cancer screening for all women. The way that we're doing this is by testing a group of women who get annual mammograms compared to a group of women who are in what is considered our test group, and that's women who will receive personalized screening recommendations on how often to screen for breast cancer and what frequency to screen for breast cancer, whether that's every year or every 2 years, or more frequently with more advanced imaging, considering things like MRI, or for some people to screen less frequently, and possibly even stop screening. And the reason we're doing this is because the science around breast cancer has advanced so much in the past 30 years. Breast cancer screening guidelines that told women to get annual mammograms were based on data from 30 years ago. Now we know that breast cancer is not just one disease. Breast cancers vary in their type and their aggressiveness. Some women are at much greater risk for much more aggressive and fatal cancers. Particularly women of color are disproportionately impacted by the most aggressive breast cancers, and they also tend to get diagnosed with them at earlier ages. So this study is trying to improve the way that we screen so that breast cancers can be detected more earlier and more efficiently by identifying women's risk for breast cancer. Basically, what we're testing is the effectiveness and safety of annual mammograms compared to personalized approach based on slide my little scroller down and show you how the study works. You would enroll in the study online through our website, which is www.thewisdomstudy.org. You would complete a questionnaire online through our website that takes 20 minutes to complete and asks you about your breast health and your family history of cancer. Some women would receive a saliva-based spit kit in the mail where they would spit into a tube and send the tube back to us in a prepaid box, and we will analyze genetic risk for breast cancer specifically. And then we will send all women recommendations that are our wisdom recommendations that are clinically approved that indicate how often you should screen for breast cancer based on your risk. And then every year we ask you to fill out that same survey, and we will also collect mammogram data for those women who've gotten mammograms so that we can look at women's risk factors in their breast density and mammographic data. And every year we send a new updated recommendation based on your risk. So when you're part of the Wisdom community, we give you opportunities to learn through weekly and monthly community forums that are virtual forums. We give you opportunities to speak with breast health specialists and learn from our renowned doctors who focus on breast health and give you access to the latest research. So we have a lot of health education materials. And the people who can enroll in this study are women between the ages of 40 and 74 who have never had breast cancer. So I will put our website link in the chat box, and I welcome you all to check out our website, consider enrolling if you are eligible, And if not, please tell your friends, your family, your children, your network about the study. We're going to be continuing to enroll for many, many more months. We currently have over 60,000 people across the United States in our study. You can be from anywhere. It doesn't matter where you live, and it doesn't matter if you have insurance or what kind of insurance you have.
Thank you so much, Steph. We appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you.
And we have one more study, and then I actually have a study I'm presenting as well.
Yes, so I'm with the Electra study at the Institute of Gerontology at Wayne State. Let me share my screen here. Oh, Sarah, could you let me share my screen? Got it.
Should be good.
Okay, so here's our study flyer. So like I said, it's the Electra study. We work with, and we're looking for Black participants age 65 and above around the Detroit area. And we're really trying to identify biomarkers that will help us earlier detect transition to cognitive decline, Alzheimer's disease, and dementia. Black folks are more likely to develop dementia, but less likely to get treatment and get diagnosis, especially in the early stages of the disease. So that's what we're working towards. Participating in the study involves two main visits that we do in person. The first is completing an EEG with us. So that's that machine where we put a cap on your head and attach some electrodes to that cap. And then you'd complete some testing on a tablet as well. And the second visit involves doing some neuropsychological testing, paper and pencil, memory thinking testing, and some other assessments, and answering some questions about yourself as well. So we are always looking for participants. Anybody that has a cognitive complaint, sort of a complaint or concern about their memory, but no official diagnosis of anything. And our contact information is down here at the bottom. And then I'll post that in the chat as well, but you can call us at 313-577-1692, or you can send us an email there at electra@wayne.edu, either of those options.
Thank you, Sophie. And the last one, I actually have a study that I am presenting, another Wayne State study. So the research study that is being conducted is being sponsored by Google. And the reason for the study is to learn more about how people want to speak to technology and how technology should respond appropriately to them. So we are looking for people who are ages 55 and up. And the study will run through July and August. And to participate, you would either engage in a 60-minute focus group, or you would engage in two 90-minute workshops with one post-interview. You would be paid $125 for the focus groups and up to $300 for the two workshops and the interview. The focus groups and workshops will be in person in Detroit at a location that's to be determined. And the interviews would be remote, either by phone or computer, similar to the way that you all have joined us by Zoom today. If you are interested in learning more about the study or in participating, you can contact Vanessa Rorai, who is an HBEC coordinator, at 313-664-2604. When you call, please leave a voicemail with your name, your phone number, and let Vanessa know that you're calling regarding the Google project. You can also email Vanessa at vrorai@wayne.edu.
All right, and now we're going to move on to a couple brief announcements before we get into our main presentation. Some of these you have seen before and some you haven't. So this is a reminder, Latoya Hall down at Wayne State is working this with the SAFE program. And this program offers coaching and advocacy services for older adults to help improve their financial situations. So if you're interested, Latoya's contact is here, 313-664-2608 or l.hall@wayne.edu. Right. This is an exciting announcement coming from the Healthier Black Elders-Flint here. Next Wednesday, June 22nd, we're going to be hosting our first, hopefully, annual symposium on improving health. We've titled it Healthy Minds, Healthy Bodies. We have a number of keynote speakers, Dr. Woody Neighbors, formerly doing work up here in Flint, many Michigan ties. Leslie Scalaris is going to give a presentation on stroke prevention preparedness. And we are also going to have a diabetes educator giving a presentation to fill out the day. We also will have brief demonstrations of both mindfulness and Tai Chi during the event. So this event's open to all. Does not matter where you're from. We would love to have you if you're interested in learning a little bit more. The website for the symposium for registration is on here, https://bit.ly/HBE healthy, and that is case sensitive, and I'm going to put that in the chat. If you go there, you can register for the event, and you'll get auto sent reminders a week before, a day before, or an hour before the event. So this event's completely free, so we really look forward if you could join us. And then our final shout out here for the party line. This is running together in Zoom on Tuesdays. This is going through June 28th. So as we get to the end of the month, as it seemingly gets hotter and hotter, party line will still be going, and it's a wonderful get together for just to allow for some companionship and just some good times. They play some games, talk about movies, or have different conversations on pressing topics. So if you're interested, this information is on here, and we'll put that link in the chat as well. So, all right, I will go ahead and stop sharing here. Sarah, back to you.
Thanks, Sean. All right, everyone, thanks for hanging in there with us, all of our wonderful announcements and ongoing studies and lots of things that we have going on in the HBE universe. Next, the program that you all are here for. We will be presenting Ms. Trina Horton, who is a program coordinator with the Alzheimer's Association Michigan chapter, and who is here to speak about ways that we can maintain a healthy lifestyle for both our brain and our bodies.
Sarah, thank you so much for having me today. And let me know if you can hear me okay. If you can hear me well, I hear some feedback, but thank you so much for inviting the Alzheimer's Association Michigan chapter. And I want to share some information with you today. And there will be some video clips from some of the experts in the field relating to research and this topic. So if you'll just give me a moment to share my screen, and hopefully we tested this, so hopefully all will go well. Just give me a moment. Can everyone see that? The healthy living for your brain and body?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. And I will be asking some questions, and you can always put your answer in the chat just to see where we are and how we might want to improve some of these areas. So let's get started. Our learning objectives. We want to identify the reasons for taking care of ourselves as we age. So we're going to list those strategies to aging well, the physical health and exercise, diet and nutrition, cognitive activity, and social engagement. And of course, I think we're all familiar with these areas, but sometimes it's good for us to really take inventory and see what it is that we are currently doing and what, again, we can maybe change or do differently, and then help others to do the same. So aging and our health, aging well depends on our genes. Some things we can't change. We're born with certain genes, and so it may put people at a higher risk for developing dementia, for developing Alzheimer's. So we want to incorporate some of these other things so that we can maybe help lower the risk. The environment is sometimes based on where we live, the access that we may have to healthcare, and then our lifestyle. So our lifestyle choices could help maybe keep our body and brain healthy. So let's just take a little bit, a look here about the brain. And it's that control center. And there are over 100 billion nerve cells, or those neurons, that are creating that branching network. So it's signaling, it's traveling through the brain, and it's forming those memories, the thoughts, and the feelings. Alzheimer's disease is destroying those brain cells. And so that is what we want to slow down, or hopefully prevent altogether. So there's a lot of studies happening, going on, taking a look at those plaques and tangles and how we might be able to prevent some of that. And you may have heard the saying, what's good for the heart is good for the brain. What's good for the brain is good for the heart. That really is proving to be true. What we do to protect our heart can also possibly protect the brain. The brain needs that blood flow. The brain depends on the oxygen and that adequate blood flow to work well. So 25% of blood from every heartbeat goes to the brain. And just a little bit about Alzheimer's and dementia. Dementia is caused by many different diseases. So think of it as an umbrella. And an umbrella that's causing changes cognitively. So under that umbrella of dementia are several conditions, such as Alzheimer's disease. That can include the strokes, vascular disease, Parkinson's, thyroid conditions. There are over 100 different types of dementia. So it's important for people, if they are showing some signs, some challenges with memory, some cognitive decline, to get a proper diagnosis so that you know that what you are dealing with. It may not be Alzheimer's disease. It could be some of those other conditions that fall under the umbrella of dementia. Now, Alzheimer's disease is the #1 cause of dementia, but you can have dementia and not have Alzheimer's disease. So some of those risk factors are age. Age is a risk factor. However, it is not a normal process of aging. And again, genetics, I mentioned that, head injury, cardiovascular factors, even fewer years of formal education. So there are therapies that can treat the symptoms at this time, but they really don't prevent. And they're really not slowing down much of the progression. Just this year, or I want to say in 2021, there was the approval of aducanumab, which is a drug that focuses on those plaques and tangles, preventing the plaques and tangles from developing or from growing. And that's for a person in the early stages. And I'm happy to give more information about that if people are interested. It is a very expensive drug at this time, and it's done intravenously. So Just wanted to throw that out there. So taking care of ourselves as we age, we want to look at these 4 components here and just see where we are and what we are doing. So let's start with our cognitive activity. Okay, so cardiovascular exercise may reduce that cognitive decline. The regular and rigorous exercise might lead to increasing the blood flow. And there's no one recipe. So what we'd like to do is do a combination of various things that might help. And so let's listen.
It's surprising how you can easily build up habits of just taking 15 to 20 minutes out of your day to go down, hit the treadmill, and just do it. Just do it. Just get on it, put my headphones on, and just walk at a nice brisk pace for myself, build up a quick heartbeat, quick sweat, and it's amazing how quickly I can go from 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And then over time, 30 minutes, and over time, 40 minutes. Before you know it, you're up to 45 minutes of walking, and even at a higher incline and also at a higher pace. And again, it's all about incorporating habits and the choices that we make.
So that physical exercise is important. Just starting with something that you like, starting small, moving safely, but getting that heart rate up. That what he's doing may not work for you. You have to talk with your doctor and know what works for you. But I do want to ask right now, maybe if you could put in the chat, what are some of the things that you currently are doing for your physical health? Just throw it in the chat. I'd love to see what you currently are doing. And then it's important to maybe ask friends to join you. It's easier when you have that support and you have someone that you can be accountable to. So Sarah, just feel free to throw out what anyone might put in the chat.
Yeah, so we have morning meditation, walking, doing yoga. I walk in the evening. Do we have any others going in?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I have
calisthenics.
Oh, wow. Okay. That is awesome. And I have made a commitment of doing 30 minutes of walking a day, and then I'm trying to add other things when I get home. So that was my commitment this spring. And so far, I've been doing good. There's been a couple days a week that I may slack up, or I just got so busy, but I'm trying to commit at least to that 30 minutes. So great. So think about, what is it that I can add? Thank you for putting those things in the chat. Now, what can I add? Or if I haven't started, what can I do? What can I start with? So that's great.
Someone added gardening.
Oh, that is so relaxing and peaceful. I do love it. I'm not the best at it, but I do some of it. So I agree. Totally. Thank you. And so here are some of the things that we can do as well. If we're smoking, we must find a way to stop. Get involved in a program, talk to your physician. But that is one thing that we can do to help improve our health. Avoid excessive alcohol, getting adequate sleep. This is a tough one, because as we age, we are changing. And so sometimes we've got a lot of things on our mind, or just the physical changes that we're going through, it's harder to sleep. So finding that way of relaxing, maybe I have to avoid the caffeine. I know that I do. I have to avoid caffeine now. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it already. I have to avoid that after 3 o'clock. So finding ways of getting that adequate sleep, how important that is for the brain waves. Avoiding the head injury. So, if we're riding a motorcycle, riding a bike, please wear the helmet, making sure you're getting rid of clutter, even in your own home, tripping over things, your rugs or whatever. So protecting that head, managing the stress, treating depression. This is very important. And then, of course, being in contact with your physician. We can also monitor our numbers. We can do this, our blood pressure, blood sugar, our weight, and our cholesterol. These are things that we can take control of and do what we need to do. So if you're taking medication for these things already, make sure that you are taking them, or that you talk to your physician. If you're making any changes with stopping or changing, please talk with your physician. Okay, so diet and nutrition. What's good for the heart? Like I said, maybe good for the brain. So what we eat can play a very big part. So following those guidelines, if you have some other conditions that you're dealing with, making sure you're following those guidelines when it comes to diet and nutrition. So I will be asking the question of what you're doing now for nutrition, and then what are some ways that we can improve?
Foods that have been shown to lead to healthy aging would be fruits and vegetables, and in particular green leafy vegetables and berries, as well as limited intake of high-fat food items that you get through high-fat dairy and cheese and red meats, and also healthy vegetable oils. So this would be, olive oil would be a good example, have been shown to reduce your risk of heart disease as well as dementia.
So, again, we've probably heard these things, but making sure we're really putting it into practice. So she mentioned about those green leafy vegetables and the fruits, nuts, beans, and the leaner meats, the fish, vegetable oils. But, you have to make those decisions for yourself, and what's best for you. It doesn't mean that you have to take everything that she said, but this is what the researchers are looking at and what is showing to possibly lower that risk. So, it's a slow, it could be a slow process or progression, however you want to put it. But, I've taken small steps. So it's hard to just maybe change in one day. So I take small steps. I've been trying the black bean burger. Had one last week. I've had one before, eating more of the fish and really eating very little of the red meat. But that's for me. You have to choose what is good for you, but avoiding some of those deep fried foods and unhealthy fast foods and all of the sugar, the salt, doing things in moderation. So do we have anything in the chat about what we're doing for nutrition? Okay.
I see we're still talking about gardening. Strength training is also very useful.
Okay. All right.
I know for my nutrition, I try to avoid things that I feel I'm a little allergic to. I know sometimes there are foods where, you may eat it and it's like, oh, well, I'm okay, but maybe my body doesn't like that. So avoiding foods that my body doesn't respond well to.
Yes, absolutely.
Someone should investigate food traditions that limit intake of meat. Indian cuisine is very good.
I agree. And actually they talk about, and I think they may talk about it on these slides, but the Mediterranean diet is supposed to be very, very good, very good for us. So it's something to definitely look at. So consulting reputable sources when you are taking dietary supplements and even taking vitamins, making sure that you know what you're taking and how it affects you. the World Health Organization, who concluded that vitamins and supplements should not be recommended to reduce the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. So, you know, there's talk out there about things in the past. It was like ginkgo biloba and the coconut oil, you know, and I'm not saying don't do these things, but just to do the research, because some of it, especially if you're taking other medications, can cause other problems. Some are causing the blood to be too thin. And so you really just need to work with your doctor when you are taking any supplements. So cognitive activity, keeping your mind active. It forms new connections in the brain cells. Cognitive activity is encouraging the blood flow to the brain. So we need that mental stimulation of activities, engaging in things like this, you know, taking a class, doing something new, learning a new language. Recently, my husband retired, and so, but he has been faithfully for the last 2 years because he took French in high school and college. So he has gotten back involved in that, doing French lessons, you know, keeping his mind active and busy, learning new things. And so I encourage each of you, each of us, to make sure that we are finding those ways of improving the cognitive health. Anything in the chat regarding that?
I saw cognitive activity is also big fun.
Okay, you know, reading and taking new classes, dance classes. Oh, you know, so many things can help to, even because you've got to coordinate even when you're taking dance classes, right? So playing different card games. So there's lots of ways that we can improve our cognitive health, and that it also can be fun. So thank you for that. And again, I hope that each of you are thinking, this is your homework, to think about, what can I add on to what I'm already doing? What can I add?
One of the most interesting factors is cognitive stimulating activities, which basically for us just means mental processing of information. It can be from a book, it can be from the radio, it can be a magazine, it can be from a lecture, it can actually be from watching TV. All of these things require processing information. And the old adage of, you know, use it or lose it is actually something that turns out, at least from the observational data, to look like it's true. So numerous studies now have shown that being more engaged in cognitively stimulating activities is actually good for maintaining cognition. And it's true in late life, and it's true in early life. And so what we recommend is that you start early, and if you're already late, start now.
I love that. If you're already behind, if you already feel like you're late, you know, start now. So I love that. So he gave us some ideas. If you haven't already started on some of those, there are plenty of things on the list that you can do. You know, starting a new hobby is always good, and engaging in that ongoing learning. And then social engagement. I was really surprised about this one, how important social engagement is to help with those brain cells. You know, people who live alone, or people who tend to do things alone, are at a higher risk. So staying socially engaged is very important to get those, you know, those cells working the way that they should be. So even if it's by telephone, even if it's by Zoom, but staying connected and getting involved. And if we know people who are living alone or tend to do things alone, let's help them. Let's help encourage and motivate them to get involved. You know, there's lots of senior programs, senior activities. Doesn't have to even be just for seniors, but finding ways of keeping active. Volunteering, plenty of things that we can do. So here's just a few more examples of that: joining a club, engaging with others, friends, and family, and staying involved in the community. So putting all of these 4 pieces together, we need to take care of our health. We need to start now. Get moving, eat right, keep your mind active, staying connected, and combining all of these 4 could maximize our benefits of better health, better cognitive health, and physically better. So one more video.
Recently, at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference, there was a study reported of the results of a large clinical trial that was done in the Scandinavian countries. And in this trial, they took half the people in the trial and they adjusted their exercise level, their diet, their social engagement, and their mental stimulation. They developed programs for each one of those variables, changed all of those for the people that were in the test group, and the control group just lived as they had been. And what they found was that the test group had less conversion to mild cognitive impairment, which is a preliminary stage of Alzheimer's disease. To my mind, one of the things that this has done is it's changed the force of recommendation that we might make around the benefit of these interventions for prevention of Alzheimer's disease or for brain health. And the fact is that I think it's moved it from possibly exercise, diet adjustments, social engagement, mental stimulation are useful to probably. And that's a big change and makes it easier for people to make those kinds of adjustments for the benefit of their future health.
It's excellent, excellent information. So what we can do now, we can begin today, we can start small and build. One of the things that I think is really important is to be talking to our young people. We often talk about seniors, but it really starts when we are young. We need to have our children, nieces, nephews, all of those in our lives, all of those who we may share with that are young. Let them know the importance of health, physically, mentally, and cognitively, so that if we can catch that generation to help to lower the risk as they age. There are some young people who are very much involved in the muscle building, body building, and all of that. And that's great. But we also want them to know some of the other benefits of doing that. And that is so that they can age well. My son, he's 16, and now this thing now that they're all going through where they're trying to build muscle, but, and that's fine, but you want to make sure they're doing it safely, but also know the reasons why and how this can help improve their health as they age. So of course, be a savvy consumer. If it's too good to be true, it probably is not true. So lots of things are happening on the internet, lots of miracle cures and drugs you may hear about. It's just important to do the research. Talk to your pharmacist, talk to the Alzheimer's Association, talk to your doctor before starting some of, again, some of the supplements, some of the things that you might be hearing about. Do the research. And we do want to just let you know that the Alzheimer's Association, we are available 24 hours, 7 days a week for our helpline to get resources, information, and support. We have specialists available. We have translation services, and we also have support groups and education programs for those who may have already been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or another related dementia. We want you to know that we are here and available. We have lots of information that we can send by email or through the postal mail. And even social engagement. We have a social engagement program for those in the early and middle stages, where we have partnered with organizations such as the DIA, the DSO, the Henry Ford, all of these organizations are working with us so that we can provide that social outlet as well as the cognitive activity, because even if a person has been diagnosed, we still want to keep them as healthy as possible and to a slower progression until we find a cure. Also want to let you know that there's lots of free online e-learning available with a list of these topics that you see here. So anytime you can go to alz.org and find out more on these various topics, such as the 10 warning signs, effective communication strategies, understanding and responding to dementia-related behaviors, and so much more. And that is available free of charge, or you can jump on one of our virtual calls for these programs, or we can come in person to you. Just as the Healthier Black Elder Center is doing, we're all working together to provide more services and information and support to those who are affected. And if you don't know about Community Resource Finder, this is a great resource as well, where you can find out programs and services happening with the Alzheimer's Association and other organizations. This is just a online service available free online for the community of those affected by Alzheimer's disease, where they can get involved with others across the country who might be experiencing the same thing. And it's just a great way to chat with others, email, and get involved with the community around the nation. And I'm almost done here. Just the Alzheimer's Navigator program. This is good for creating a plan with family members. And I like that this also can be done from anywhere. So maybe you have family members out of state who still want to be involved in the care of their person. You can create a plan and everyone can contribute to the plan and be able to see the plan and have connection with all of these areas here. So it's a great way to support those who may be out of state and want to still be involved. So I want to thank you again so much to Sarah and the Healthier Black Elder Center for having us. And maybe if there's any questions, we can take those at this time, or however you want to handle that, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Trina, again. That was a wonderful presentation. I want to encourage everyone, if you haven't put a question in the chat yet, please do so, or in the Q&A box. The first question we have is, I've always felt that memory loss was a natural part of getting older. How do I know if I should be concerned?
Well, we have what we talk about, the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's, and we do a whole program on that. But looking at some of the things on that list doesn't mean that, you know, a person has Alzheimer's, but it may put up red flags if there's 3 or 4. But again, other things can cause memory loss. So some of those warning signs are having trouble completing a task, having trouble remembering recent events, problems with judgment, or with maybe taking care of the finances, whereas before that was not a problem. So there's several things on this list, and I'm happy if you want to even put your email in to Sarah to send you this list of the 10 warning signs. But the doctors, they do a process of elimination. So for instance, let's say you have a thyroid condition that might be causing some memory changes. So once that's taken care of, then, you know, that problem is solved. Or maybe a person is dealing with depression and it's causing some memory changes. But one of the key things is, as we age, we will begin to forget some things, but it's finding the ability to retrace those steps. So if I lost my pair of keys and I go into the living room, I'm looking for those keys, I don't find them there, then I go into my bedroom and then I don't see them there, and then I go into the kitchen and there I find them. So having the ability to backtrack is a good thing. But yes, I write things down more. I have to rely on writing things down more. But a person with Alzheimer's disease loses that ability to backtrack. That's the difference. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Trina. That was a great answer. I also always kind of felt that way. How do you know where the line is? And that kind of helps delineate that. And for anyone
it is a
who
process.
is like the 10 warning signs, we can send that along.
Yeah, and it's a process because you can't really just go to the doctor and get an hour visit and they say you have Alzheimer's. They have to do a process of elimination to rule out other conditions, and then they can, come maybe 99% sure that it might be that it's Alzheimer's, but that could take months to determine that, with the various tests that are available.
Thank you. We have another question in the chat. Is a neurocognitive exam recommended for memory loss issues? I've heard that this testing is very difficult to schedule and wait times are sometimes over 6 months.
Yes, it absolutely can take time with the various scans. There's the PET scan, there's the MRI. Some people get one of those. So yes, it can be a process. And I would say that oftentimes caregivers kind of know what's happening by the other signs that they're seeing. So if a person is showing certain behaviors, act accordingly to those behaviors. And the Alzheimer's Association, we are available with helping you through that, to navigate through some of those challenges. So you could really know by the signs that you're seeing that a person has dementia. And again, you work accordingly. Right now, my father-in-law is with us, 96 years old. He definitely has some memory challenges. I see all of the signs, but he has not been diagnosed. So, but I act accordingly. We treat it as if it is. So I'm very careful in how I respond and what I do. So the Alzheimer's Association is available to help you through that.
And I think that that's great to bring up too, that even if you don't have a diagnosis, that you can still make changes and make adjustments. You don't have to wait for a diagnosis to be supportive in different ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for those questions.
Are there any other questions in the chat? I think the last one I had was, you mentioned alzheimersnavigator.org. Could you tell us a little bit about what types of tools are included there?
Oh boy, okay. I think you put me on the spot on that one with the navigator.
Sorry.
Yeah, I would say to just check out the website because they have various tools within that. And off the top of my head, I'm forgetting exactly all of what's involved. But if you just visit the website, it'll definitely give you some more tips on that.
Wonderful, thank you. Are there any other questions for Trina? Even anyone who was a speaker earlier, if you have questions, or anyone who is listening on the computer, you can raise your hand, type in the chat, however you want to flag us down. Sean, did you receive any other questions?
No, don't have anything else here in the Q&A.
All righty. Well, everyone, it seems that we'll be wrapping up today's program a little early. We want to extend our thanks to Trina. Thank you, Trina, so much for such an excellent presentation on how we can all work to create and maintain a healthier lifestyle for our brains. And I also want to thank the researchers that we've had on today for providing information about their various studies. A special thank you goes out to our Critical Crossroads subcommittee members for all of their hard work and their attention to the social issues that we're facing today. And finally, I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Today's presentation again has been recorded, and we will be uploading it where all of our Lunch and Learn recordings live on our website. Again, if there's anyone with us that is not currently a member of the Healthier Black Elders Center, we would like to join, we'd like to sign you up over the telephone. So please give us a call at 313-664-2616. When you become an HBEC member, you will receive our biannual newsletter. You will learn about research studies like the ones that were presented to you today, and you'll learn about future programs like this one. This is the last Lunch and Learn webinar for the summer. But we hope that you all will join us in September as we begin our fall Lunch and Learn series. Thank you again, everyone. Please stay safe, stay cool, especially during this heat wave, and we will see you all very soon.